15% of the way to our $3,000 goal. That's going to fund a series of Allyship Dojo trainings for free for the community. Comparatively free because I'm asking you guys for support to make it happen. But the idea is that anyone who you could bring in to becoming an effective ally could get access to high quality, really impactful trainings facilitated by me. And so I decided to make a video to break down what the heck is the Allyship Dojo. Many of you in my community never have made it to an Allyship Dojo, and I just wanted to show you what it was about. Essentially, Allyship Dojo came to me as a way to give people a place to practice something that is very difficult, but in ways that people don't really think about. So let's say in a lot of introspective traditions, they have this idea of your physical body, emotional body, and a mental body. The Allyship Dojo is a place where you get to train and condition your mental body and your emotional body for the very difficult and sometimes taxing work that comes from allyship. It's also the place to learn the key meta skills. Now, when I originally did the Allyship Dojo, I did it for Allies for Black Americans, so it sort of focused on helping out Black people. But when I did my allyship work, I wanted to create something that could be used to skillfully help anyone who was in need of allyship. Someone self-identified as being like, oh my god, I need an ally. Or if you decided that there was a set of people that you wanted to ally to, you'd be able to use this set of skills to come in confidently and get results off the jump. And so there's a series of meta skills that we learn about communication, rapport building, trust building, figuring out like exactly sort of what problem someone has, going to the deeper problems that they might be dealing with. Because for me, and this has shifted a lot, but this is the one I'm working with right now, allyship is the ability to increase the amount of time someone consciously gets to spend inside of well-being. And it turns out that healthy relationships are one of our great ways to do that, but also throughout the entire process of helping someone, being an ally, you're going to have to make sure that there is the experience of well-being as much as possible. It's a difficult thing to do if you don't have the conditioning to hold well-being for yourself, because to be an ally is going to require you to hold your own well-being and the potential for someone else's well-being at the same time, which means you're going to probably have to hold more inside of you than you've ever had to do before. And the Allyship Dojo is important because really the current model doesn't work. And the current model that I see right now of people doing allyship trainings are sort of high-level like college-style courses where there's a lot of information given, usually by a facilitator, a summation of a large body of knowledge. It's fantastic, and it's really good at strengthening certain aspects of your mental body. It gives you enough ideas and critical frameworks to do stuff with, but it doesn't actually condition your emotions or really give you any reason to go out in the physical world and do anything. Nice place to start, but it can sometimes be very discouraging, especially if you aren't an overly intellectual person. You might be intimidated or just not feel at home or not feel very well served by the sort of academic approach. Then there's the book club. Book club is kind of the smaller version of the academic approach where you take a specific book and with a group of friends, interested people, discuss it. Plus side of that is that you get multiple perspectives from a lot of people. It's a little bit more collaborative. It's a little bit more focused. Downside is it still requires a lot of bravery and leadership to make those conversations super productive. And a lot of times people will shy away from the more difficult issues to maintain the cohesiveness and rapport of that group. So can sometimes be a little passive. There's not really a whole lot of accountability, and it tends to be a little bit more consumptive. Again, it's just like the academic model. You're taking things in versus pushing things out. Then there's just jumping into organizing and activism, which again, if you have the time and the mental resources to do, I actually do recommend. There's tons of organizations out here looking for volunteers or people to help and that have actually really strong onboarding programs. The downside with this though is that like once you get in one of those programs, like you're pretty much stuck with their mode, and changing things from within can be very difficult if it turns out that you're not being served in those type of communities. But more than anything, it's just a steep learning curve. It can be very painful, and a lot of times it's a hostile learning environment because as everyone is doing their hardest to help, sometimes they don't have the time to onboard people in a gentle, kind, caring way. And across all the bodies, it's the most physically, emotionally, and mentally taxing ways to just sort of jump into a new thing. The people who tend to do this either don't have the wisdom to know that's a terrible idea or already have such high levels of skill that it's not a problem. That's probably not going to be you. So I created the dojo, and specifically I use the martial arts metaphor as a way to blend Eastern and Western approaches. Sometimes people will do a lot of work on trauma-informed care. Really recommend we should do that. There's actually a part of that in the dojo. And there's people who do the personal development approach, setting goals, going after that. You got to do that one as well. But then there's also a philosophical approach, and then there is a historical approach. The tradition of martial arts has just a really good way of condensing all of those into one action while also focusing on fundamental skill development. And so my background in the martial arts, after having taken the dojo to the House for Black Americans, is in Tai Chi, Qigong, Taoism, and I did a little bit of karate back in the day. And the idea is that like set forms, set ways of thinking that everyone can sort of show up to, and time for people to actually test and practice those skills in a very specific way. That also includes mindfulness, the ability to not be so reactive, the ability to not project your inner state onto the outer world and to actually move in sort of a wise aspect. This particular series of the Allyship Dojo, we're going to do everything based on a technique that I've been learning and honing for the last year called Big Mind. That's going to take us to our stages of allyship of waking up, cleaning up, growing up, and showing up. Waking up is becoming more aware of the ways in which you want to show up as an ally, that people need you to show up as an ally. Cleaning up is finding all the disowned parts within us, bringing them back into awareness, cleaning up the shadowy parts of what we're doing that are actually stopping us from being allies. Growing up is getting practice and feeling into like what does it look like for these skills to actually increase, what type of power do you have access to when you show up in this way. And then showing up is the actual brainstorming of like what tangible actions can we take outside of the dojo to start practicing our skills in real life situations. So this work is great. It's my life's work. I love doing it, but a friend told me, it's just like, when do you do too much stuff for free? So we're doing this fundraiser so I can support pouring as much attention into this as well as my book so that we can, again, raise the number and effectiveness of as many allies self-designed as possible. So that's what we're doing here. Again, we're at 15%. If you feel called to like do the dojo, that'll be amazing. Drop a couple bucks. There's going to be information in the comments of this video for how to do that. And if you just want to support the movement and support other people being able to get this kind of training, again, I'm going to do it for free. I'm going to open it to whoever, so even send people my way if you want them to get this kind of training.